Let's get it. Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Visual Disturbance. I'm your host, Brian Reese, and welcome to a program tonight that you probably won't never forget. I'm going down the rabbit hole tonight, folks, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my YouTube channel. Tonight's program is going to be called Let's Put an X on It. Everybody, we know what the X has been showing up in our realm and showing up all over the place. And tonight I'm going to bring a lot to the table and maybe throw the table over and see what happens. So before we get into the program, though, folks, go check out Shake and Wake Radio. Miss Ann takes and deploys all of her programs, and she's a blessing to us, and she shares all of her programs out on her radio station. So God bless you, Ann. Go check out my P.O. Box at Visual Disturbance P.O. Box 324 Waco, Kentucky 40385. I appreciate you all so much, all the love and support and the lovely letters that you all supported and sent to me. It's been a blessing. So it has been a long time since I did a live broadcast, and welcome everybody to the program. Let's put an X on it. So folks, I started noticing a great shift and change in our world. Especially last year, I've seen a lot of X insignias, symbols, and whatnot in our realm. And I seen it when I was out in the grocery store, where I was out going to vision therapy, where I was out, wherever I was going, I started seeing the symbols of X everywhere. So 2023, was it the year of the X? I don't know. But I did make a slide. I remember doing this back in 2023, several months ago. And I said, is this the year of the X? And back in the time there, the movie Saw came out. I was just using this to show the significance of where X was inundated, its own Gatorade, the movies, the video game industry, right? And then you also known as one of the big heavy hitters as far as social media. You have Twitter converting into X. So what is that, folks? How does this, what's going on in our realm? And today, I'm going to take you all down, let's just say, a rabbit hole of X's, so to speak. And we're going to slap X's on it. And, yeah. So East Coast, and all these anomalies with the weather patterns and everything and whatnot. Have y'all noticed a significant change in the weather? Especially all you Californians out there having all kinds of apocalyptic, tsunami, mud, flood, weather anomalies over there. I pray for all the California people out there, and I pray you're all doing well. But it looks like cataclysm after cataclysm, it seems. The great floods and all kinds of scenarios going on up in California. And on the east side of America here, where I'm at in Kentucky, there has been a lot more of mild climate. A lot more mild climate. The temperature has been, let's just say, above average. Let's just say it's been a little bit more stranger than normal. So, here we are in February, and we haven't really had much snow. Not much snow out here in the eastern side of Kentucky, and that's something to document. But we do have something coming. So hold on to that thought, folks. There's something coming down the East Coast, and it's going to be very significant to this program, so hold that thought on the weather patterns. But real quick on the X, so anybody remembers pretty much everybody knows this because they keep basically regurgitating the same thing in the Hollywood narrative and with the comic books and etc. So check this out, folks. We have X-Men. So there you have your pop culture, you have your movies and everything, and this has been going on for years. So you have this X-Men genre. They have the whole thing with the comic book industry, the movie industry. You have the X-Men. You also have the X Factor, right? The X Factor with music, and they have all these, different singers, different things, a variety of different pop, it's another pop culture. It's been going on forever. I think they still have it on to this day. I think it's like something similar to America's Got Talent and whatnot. I haven't watched it in years. So what's the significance of X? You also have, we have the X-Files. The X-Files was, let's just say, folks, It came out in the early 90s. I remember it very well. And let's just say that it's probably had a lot of stuff to document, and we was being subliminally messaged, in our minds, and we was being predictive programming and showing us actually stuff that would be coming to our theater near you, so to speak, in 2024. There's even been a lot of information about this. I don't know if it's legit, but there has been some podcasters and stuff out there that had some higher ranking, let's just say space force individuals that had communications and whatnot, and supposedly people that have been on the ground, so to speak, that actually was a particular site where an X-Files film or X-Files TV show was supposedly with a UFO, supposedly, crash site. And I thought that was really interesting. I just heard that the other day. So there's the other imagery of the X. And then also, folks, one more just to throw in here. The X. And a lot of people are like, bro, Brian, you got Vikings here. Well, if you look at this, you got the one-eyed symbolism, but also you have these two circles. It looks like a figure eight, right? Keep that in mind too for later on in the program. It looks like a big eight, right, with X's in the middle of the circles. So we could go down a rabbit hole of saying the Ouroboros, the infinity, right? The infinity symbol, right, for time and everything. So it's kind of interesting that you have this imagery, and let's just say there's some type of like dragon-like symbol down here. And then you have this 8 with 2 X's in it. Isn't that kind of interesting? So slap an X on it. Let's put an X on that. Absolutely put an X on the X-Files, et cetera, et cetera. So, but wait, folks, there's more. Now hold on to your seat, get you some popcorn, relax. It's going to be a visual disturbance. I think it's going to be one of my favorite ones. So just hang on real quick. So we have this X symbol, right, that keeps popping up, and we have something that's coming to us here in a few months. It's literally not that far away. It's 2 months away. There's going to be an event. So we have talked about the weather anomalies, especially up the East Coast. I've noticed let's just say a wide variety of smog, and let's just say that the sky has been, let's just say there's not been sun. There's not been much sun activity. The sun has been kind of, let's just say, miraculously disappeared because there's some nefarious thing in the sky that keeps playing tic-tac-toe with our beautiful blue sky that God made. But not only that, speaking of the East Coast, folks, and everything going on the West Coast and all this, let's just say horrible events going on with the water and the flooding, guess what we have to experience here in the East Coast? You heard it here on Visual Disturbance. The Broad X cicadas. This one's on my radar, folks. This one's on my radar. Not only are we going to have something coming down the pike here in April, which I'm going to refer to here in a little bit, Broad X, the cicadas. So what do we got? A Roman numeral of 10, right? The X would be symbolizing 10. So I've seen cicadas back in the day when I was a child. I've seen cicadas back in 2021. What's going on here, folks? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? So here we go. Let's put an X on this, but let's get more into what the cicadas are going to bring to my lovely state and north of me and south of me and east of me also. Yeah. So here's the quick fact sheet. Quick fact. Say that 15 times. Where we have Delaware, we have Georgia, we have Illinois, and we also have Kentucky. Hello, we have Kentucky. That's where we're broadcasting from. I skipped 2. We have Indiana, Illinois, Maryland, Michigan, North Carolina, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Washington, D.C. that are going to be, let's just say there's going to be an emergence of, you will like the bug, you will eat the bugs and like it. I don't know if anybody gets what I'm saying, but there's some nefarious, gentleman that walks this earth, that you will like the bugs, you will eat the bugs. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So what are we looking at here, right? What? So the cicadas have been feasting, right, on the roots underground for 17 years, supposedly, according to this. When they emerge, they will seek a place to molt, mate, lay eggs, and die. So, broad X expected population may be as high, wait for it, folks, as you heard me, 1 million to 1.5 per acre. So if you're on an acre lot, if you're on a 20-acre lot, just do the math. It's going to get pretty raw. They're going to come out of the woodwork, so to speak, in the underground tunnel systems that they've supposedly been laying in dormant. And they're going to come out and have a little, as you can see in the red states on there on the right side of the screen, all these populations and these states will be affected. So here's the killer part. They're going to be making mating noises. Can be as louder than a jet. What? So it gets even worse, folks. So wait, just hang on a minute. If you hadn't hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Please do it at the moment. I really would appreciate it. It helps with the algorithm. So win, right? So expect cicadas to emerge late April, right? Just remember that. Remember that month, late April, okay? To mid-May when the soil temperatures reach 62 degrees at 8 degrees depth, like the deep. Full cycle above ground can last from 6 to 10 weeks. Broad X emerge every 17 years. The next occasion will be 2038. Well, the anomaly is they're going to be showing up on 2024, and then they're saying the broadcasting out in 2038. So the next section, prepare and protect. This is where it's going to be really interesting. So take notes, folks. And if anybody out there does gardening, which my family does, this is going to affect you. Postpone planting. Postpone the planting and the pruning. Cover trees and shrubs shorter than 5 feet tall with mosquito netting, cheesecloth, etc. Cover swimming pools to avoid damaging filters. My, oh my. Use noise This is where it gets crazy. Use noise-canceling earphones or ear plugs to protect from ear damage. Now, folks, let me tell you something. It said earlier it's going to be higher than a jet plane. Okay, it's going to be louder than a jet plane. So there's frequency here, right? There's going to be a 1.5 million per acre with this, let's just say synchronization of harmonization. They're going to be singing while everybody goes deafening hearing. So according to this is where it gets even funner. I said funner. Power tools vibration. No joke. So anybody out there that likes to be a carpenter, powered tools vibration attracts cicadas and swarms, so limit outdoor use during this cycle. You heard me, folks. Watch out for your power tools, folks. Don't be doing no home improvement because the cicadas are coming. They're broad X. X marks the spot. Let's throw an X on this. Keep pets from consuming as it may cause digestive distress. Okay. Obviously, there's going to be a bunch of, let's just say, overload when they're falling from, let's just say there's shells that they drop their shells. There's all kinds of debris. So the next one, the last bullet point. Cicadas produce a very foul smell as they decompose. Bury or use remains they want you to bury or use remains as compost. Okay, folks. Okay. So how is these little buggers? How's these little cicada guys? How are they going to be like? Listen to the sound. Okay, listen to the sound. They're saying, plug your ears, folks. They're saying, ladies and gentlemen, plug your ears. Make sure you protect your ears because your eardrum could experience some issues, right? But the date is what got me. And then the broad X. Why the heck are you talking broad X? So, what's going to happen in April? What's going to happen in April, folks? There's going to be a total solar eclipse which, if anybody remembers, this one got me. In 2017 of August, as you can see on the screen here, August the 21st, 2017, I got bamboozled into this nonsense. And I'll never forget it, in which I will never partake into another observing. And people are like, Brian, and people probably just watching this channel, don't you have glasses on right now that you can experience the eclipse? These are not the glasses that I referred to here in a little bit. These are actually given by a vision therapist specialist because I have a visual issue. So just document that so nobody would scoff at me later on when they're watching this video. So there's a little fun plug-in. But there was these special lenses in August the 21st, 2017, and I got bamboozled back then. Before I got hurt, I was working, and I was working diligently to get back in time to participate in this event, to see it with my family and go to my mother-in-law's and actually see this in their front yard and experience this in Kentucky, because it crossed over, right? But it didn't cross directly over my home, but it was enough to see it, okay? So this is what we participate in. So hold this thought for the 21st of 2017, and then we're going to talk about April 8, 2024 here after a while in the program. So this right here, August the 8th, 2017. So August the 8th, the 21st, on the total eclipse. I'll tell you a little story real quick, a little background story. I went and broke my neck because I waited the last moment, and I spent like $37 on a pack of like 16, I think, of these stupid glasses. No joke, folks, because it was literally the day of. And I went to my buddy's comic book shop because he owns a comic book shop to this day, and he's like, I got a bunch of boxes that came in. These things are getting sold out like hotcakes, okay? So I lost my opportunity. I had to drop $36. $36. It was like 36 or 37 bucks to participate in this event. Okay, so let the brainwashing, that's what happened that day, okay? So he was going around looking like this, because he was telling us to adjust the glasses, right, to adjust them properly, just cut a paper plate, and it put a little, let's just say it looks like a superhero, let's just say a superhero mask, right? And it, it's fun and festive, and let's enjoy a one-in-a-lifetime. Back then, they was just saying, no joke, they was saying, it's not going to happen for a long time. That's what's going on around here. They's like, it won't happen for a long time. You won't never know. And then all of a sudden, hey, we're going to experience a total eclipse in 2024. I remember very well because I was like all, giddy about, hey, I get to experience this total eclipse, cutting out and making it look like it looks like a piece of pie came out of the paper, and then you're like inserting the glasses so you can properly have them adjusted to your head so they won't slide off and you end up blinding yourself, right? That I will never forget. Will I ever get bamboozled into this nonsense ever again in my life? Ever? Because the narrative stinks to high heaven, okay? It stinks to high heaven. And so hang on to that thought, folks. Hang on to that thought. So there's going to be something happening in April, okay? So earlier I showed a slide with the X, right? There's going to be an X. August the 21st, total eclipse, and there's going to be another one, okay? There's going to be another one coming up very soon, in April the 8th. Keep those dates in mind, by the way. So this slide right here, I seen this off of Twitter, or Twitter X. Hello. So I had to ponder on this one, folks, for a while. I had to ponder on it, and as you can see here, it actually has Bible verses on it. So it was up my alley, okay? And when I had to literally look at it, and I kept looking at cross-referencing the data, and I was literally trying to comprehend, what I'm looking at, longitude, latitude, the coordinates of these places, and etc. So as you can see on the slide here, it says the city was named Salem because it became Jerusalem, right, in quote there, right, quotation marks. It says Genesis 14:18 through 19, right, which we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. But as you can see here, Salem, Oregon, Salem, Idaho, Salem, Wyoming, I think it's Nebraska, Missouri, and then Salem, Kentucky in my neck of the woods, and then Salem, South Carolina. That would have been the 2017 August the 21st, that total eclipse. That little booger, that total eclipse went right through those cities. Went right over top of the states, okay? And what's so ironic about it, it's Salem. So who in the world, how's this happen? How does this happen, right? So as you can see on the graph here, on the slide, there's another line, right? It's going back down. It's going from Vermont. It's Vermont, Salem. It's Vermont, New Hampshire. It's for, Ohio, Salem. And then Texas, Salem. So, as you can see there, it says 88. There's a X marks the spot, right? Let's put an X on it, which we have. So let's just ponder on it for a little bit. What's going on with the Salem, okay? And what does it refer to in the biblical? Let's just get into the biblical concept here. Let's get into it and see what the biblical, since I referenced the Genesis 14. So, and Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Aram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. There you go, folks. You have Salem. So, the next one. Well, a little mess up there. Psalm 76, I misspoke. Psalm 76, verse 2. And Salem also is his tabernacle and his dwelling place in Zion. Okay? So, what we have here, folks, cannot be, I don't believe in coincidences. And when you look at this slide here, the Salem connection is baffling alone in itself. Okay, that one should be like, okay, I've had enough. That's like way overboard. Like, I can't believe this. You can't make this stuff up. You shouldn't be able to even analyze this or put the pieces together. But I'm going to reference something. At the bottom right hand of the slide here, there's a blurred out of images right beside the flux capacitor, by the way. Everybody's like, why does he have the flux capacitor up there? You know, that's referencing the Back to the Future. Well, it references 88. So on the side there on the right-hand corner, there was an image of supposedly Jesus on a cross, right? And I take it very, very serious about putting up imagery of Christ on my channel or anything I do. So that's why I said was an image of Christ, but I took it off because I just don't want to ever disrespect. I don't want to ever disrespect the Son of God. I think it's just a personal preference, and I just want to be a good servant of it, and I don't want to, cause any, because I don't really know. Let's just say there's all kinds of stuff that go down there, but that's not for the program. But just want to let you all know I took it off. But this is where this whole thing with the world and the internet and things talks about the Christ consciousness. I don't believe it. I don't get into that narrative, but it is being taught. Okay, it's something out there in the internet of things. It's something I will listen to it, I will evaluate it, but I will never participate in that concept and that understanding. I think it's just absurd. But for the sake of this video, in that 88. So, keep in mind the 88 number, because I'm going to show you guys something. Keep in mind, keep that in your back of your head as far as the X marks the spot, because we're going to get into something pretty baffling that I was able to research and find out. So, not only do we have this X marks the spot, and I thought to myself, I said, Brian, is there something that we could talk about that is a significance to constellations? Because anything I've ever looked at, right, when it comes to, let's just say, mounds, megalithic structures, anything to do with, let's just say, astronomy and whatnot. Let's get it, and let's think about a constellation. So a constellation that could literally lay over top of this total eclipse. And what would that be? Okay. What do you think that would be, folks? And it's Cygnus. So we have Cygnus here. A lot of people would think, well, it looks like a bow. It looks like a bow, right? So I see the bow. I see the bow, but when you look into and you look at what Cygnus is not, let me pull up the slide here. Cygnus is not a bow. It is a swan. Cygnus in the Latin means swan. It's a constellation in the northern sky. And remember this number. In 21 hours, right ascension at 40 degrees north, a declination. Remember that is the brightest star, Cygnus of Dimneb. I think that's how you pronounce it. The brightest star in the sky, along with Vega and Altar. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, the 21 reference. 21 reference, and this is getting ready to get really. And remember the 88. Remember the 88. One moment. So I went and started looking and digging, and I said, surely not, Brian. Surely not that there's something correlating with this. So we have this Cygnus, okay, and we have X marks the spot, okay. So I've already referenced the 21. So this is where my mind went. So on the X, this is computer prompting. Anybody that's into computers and understands just basics command prompts. Okay, so the X. Okay, it's a program 303. And I said, you know, when I seen that slide with the 88, right? When the 88 was there was something else that come to my mind. I'll show you in a minute. But the 88 rung a bell to me. So I thought about X. Let's put an X on it. So why in the world would this be in computers? Why is this even going on in our realm as far as computer algorithms and whatnot? I mean, this is ancient. So let's go there. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 4, 3, 2, 1, and it makes a V. On the very bottom of the screen here, there's a 5 in the middle. Remember the 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. 6, 7, 8, 9 on each side. So if you take those numbers, and I just couldn't believe this. 1, 2, 3, 4. That makes, there's 4 numbers. 4 numbers, it makes 8. Okay? And obviously, there's 4 up here, 4 down. So 8 and 8. So plus 5 equals 21. So I thought about it. I was like, wow. So this is like one of those moments where I'm like, okay. So I'm just taking just basic math and looking and saying there's 4 numbers this way, 4 numbers that way, making 8, and then go down here and make an 8, and it's 8 plus 8. That's 16 plus 5. Guess what? You get equal 21. So remember what I said a minute ago about the 21 hours, the right ascension on 40 degrees north of declination. Okay, the swan. So the swan is it, in my opinion, is tied to this total eclipse. The constellations have, let's just say, there's something to do with the cosmos that manipulates what's on the ground. Okay, megalithic, ancient ley lines, there's something that goes about that. Frequency, right? We talked about the broad X earlier. The broad X. So here we are. Not only this, but the 21 is significant to me. The equals the 21. So I thought about it, and what we talked about a minute ago, 821. I was like, why is that connected like that? Is that what's going on here? Like, is this the Twilight Zone? Because I was thinking the significance of 8 and then 21. And there it was. And I'm thinking, okay, so there you have your 88. whoever made this slide, when they made it at the 88 degrees. And I can understand that that's their point of entry in the circumference, right? The circumference of the circle at 88. But it gets crazier. So remember Salem, Kentucky, that's kind of my neck of the woods. So you got Salems, all these different Salems, right? And there's this correlation with this tie-in of X. Let's slap an X on this. Let's slap an X on the 21 with the 8 plus 8. But it gets a little bit crazier. So the first thing I thought of, this is how the mind works, is this. A triangle. There's a lot of people give me a hard time because I haven't done the Bermuda Triangle Part 2, but I will in the future. So you got Vega, right? This constellations that I referenced earlier, okay? The triangle. And I seen somebody try to do a decent depictions of what they was trying to articulate, right? So you have this triangle with earlier I was talking about the bow and the Cygnus constellation, right? But all these stars work together, and it's supposedly the summer triangle, right? So somebody tried to, I just took this off of somebody else they didn't come up with this. They was trying to talk about the 88 degrees imagery. And when I looked at it, I said, well, there's your 9 and there's your 5. So I didn't point that out earlier, but this is kind of tilted. So if it was a clock, let's just say that this twisted, right, with the summer solstice, equinox, and all these different things, winter solstice, and it was actually turning like a clock because let's just face it, you got cosmological, right? The stars are a clock, it's a map. So I started thinking about the 88 degrees, and I was like, okay, so what if this, right, with the 8 and the 8 and the 5, but watch this. Look, there's a 9. So it's the command prompt. So you had to put in 9, and guess what? You can't make it up, folks. So I mentioned Back to the Future earlier, just a smidge. You got the 9 up there, and guess what you got? My point. You feel me, everybody? So you have the 9, there's the 5. So we're talking about geometry. There's different things that go into play here, okay? Look, I don't know everything. But what I'm bringing today is pretty baffling. So we have this event. There's something here with this numerology stuff, and we have let's just say 8. Once again, the 21 referencing, because you tie it all together. But do you remember the 5 and the 9 with the referencing of the pyramid? And 88 degrees, and you're going on your different axis, and you're going back and forth. So I thought about it, and I said, with this, with the Cygnus, and I thought about if this was like let's just say transparent, it was transparently thrown over Google Earth, right? And it was sitting there, and let's just say this is all Kentucky, it's kind of tilted, and you have this pyramid. Where would this other star, the altar, I think it's how you pronounce it, altar, where would that star be? That would be way out there off the coast of the east, right? That would be off the coast of Florida. It would almost be pointing to the Bermuda. Coincidence? I don't know. But this gets worse. So keep all this in mind about the Cygnus stars constellations, because we're going to take it to a visual disturbance moment. Okay. So not only is Cygnus a star, but it's a significant star. It has certain properties about it that will blow your mind. So guess what? We're going to go to Google Earth, folks, and I'm going to show you something that will baffle the mind. Okay. So what we have here is the United States of America, and the one that has popped up on the screen, it is the 2017 event with the total eclipse. Okay, so what we're going to look at here is the 2024. So we're going to go to the 2024 and plug it in and make sure that we can get the X imagery. But I want to show you guys something that will baffle the mind. One moment, I'm having a little issue. There we go. There we go. So the X marks the spot. So remember, I referenced the Salem. I referenced Salem, all the correlations with the different Salems, which you can't make up. And then here we go. So I wanted to go on the ground. So just picture Cygnus if Cygnus was out above, right? If it was above and you couldn't see it, but let's just say that triangle and the pointing of, toward the Florida and the Bermuda Triangle. Let's just have fun there. That's a little speculation on my part, but it's just a theory. So it gets wild. So if you zoom in where X marks the spot, right? So you have this, they overlap each other, right? You got the 2017, you got the 2024, April the 8th, mind you, which we're going to get into that in a minute. So you zoom in and there's this, my algorithm is telling me this is the greatest eclipse point. This will be where you see the most of the eclipse in Kentucky, or I think the whole event, if I'm not mistaken, okay? This would have been when the 2017 event, it would have been right there, okay? Right there. I misspoke. It's for the 2017, but if you was in this area back in 2017, 6 years ago, mind you, 6 years and like 7 months ago, mind you. So there's this town here. It's called Cerulean. Cerulean? So think about it. Cerulean. I mean, what? Cerulean. So I zoomed in on Cerulean, and it's a small town. Try that in a small town, you know what I mean? I'm just referencing a song. Hello. But Cerulean. So what is Cerulean? Does anybody know? Anybody know what Cerulean is? It is a, let's see here. Cerulean is, let's pop it up here real quick. One moment. Having a little tech issue. That's okay though. Hold the thought on the Cerulean. I know it's here. One moment. Here it is. Okay, so Cerulean. So Cerulean is a color, right? So remember that. It's a color. Cerulean has a shade of blue, right? It's a darker sky blue, but it also references what it also is talked about as dark blue, blue, or blue-green. So remember that. And heaven or sky is what it means. It's and it has a reference to cobalt a material. Okay, so you're thinking, okay, could it get any crazier? Could it get any crazier? Yes, it could. So we're going to actually go to the Cerulean city, and we're going to look and see what the as far as Cerulean, Kentucky is. So Cerulean, Kentucky is in, no joke, Christian County. Christian County, Kentucky. Christian County, Kentucky. Also, Christian County is home for Hopkinsville, right? The county seat is Hopkinsville. Hopkinsville, not to get too far off the subject of the program here, Hopkinsville has an event with little green men because there was like some type of weird anomaly, Nephilim little creatures running around, and now they have a festival for the little green men in Hopkinsville. So just throw that in the back of your pocket there for a rainy day. But look at this census. It talks about the 2020 census. If everybody remembers that weird, bizarre thing. But, okay. So I mentioned earlier Genesis 14 and Psalm 76, the Salem, right? And then the people out there that made the slide with Christ on the cross and the flux capacitor with the 88 miles per hour. We have the Christian County symbolism. I mean, this is pretty wild stuff. But the Cerulean was what got me the most. So check this out. Cerulean. It talks about the census too. So check this out. The 2020 census. Guess how many people this population of this place? Cerulean. It means dark blue, blue-green. I want to reference this through the program. I'll put a lot of emphasis on this. Dark blue, blue-green. as of 2020 census. 2020 census. I'm not reaching here, folks. There were 303 people. 303 people, folks. And do you remember what I said earlier? Do you remember what I said? I said about a program. And I'm not trying to reach down the rabbit hole and then never come out of it. But there's a program with 303. And according to that slide, according to the 88 degrees at X marks the spot, Christian County, and we have the cerulean, but it gets even more. You remember the star? The brightest star that I was talking about? I'm getting so excited I can't even hardly speak. So check this out. So we're back at the Swan, the Cygnus, right? The Cygnus has properties that I looked at, and I said, okay. So we have this city, Cerulean, right? We have this little town with 303 population. And when you look and you do a Wikipedia search, and it's talking about the Cygnus constellation. I'm not making this up. It's highlighted here on the screen. The primary 31 Cygnia is an orange-hued star of magnitude 3.0, 14 light years away, which I don't believe. The secondary 3 Cygnia appears, here's where I'm going to tie it all in, appears blue-green. It appears blue-green. It has, and then it goes down, it says, itself is a binary star, a blue star. A blue star. So in 2017, Cerulean, that town, could see that eclipse more dominantly than anybody in the state of Kentucky. But it gets crazier. It gets a little bit more out there. So I started looking at it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take it down even farther. And I'm going to go probably where nobody's going to do it. Nobody's going to do it. Probably not. I'm not trying to get puffed out chest here and get proudful here, but I'm just thankful that I'm able to even do this. So it's a blessing. So pride is the fall, you know. Pride can make a man fall. So not only do we have this blue, right? But guess what's in Western Kentucky? Abundance of it. Well, cobalt, nickel, magnesium, all that. It's huge in Western Kentucky. Cobalt, okay? It has a blue substance, right? The blue substance, blue powdery form, cobalt abundance, you know, whatever type of energy, magnetic field, or whatever went down in 2021 of August the 8th, 21st, and 2020 or 2017, and whatever type of whatever it did, energy pulsing over top of the sky, whatever happened with the eclipse. You know, call me a crazy, lunatic in Kentucky, but here's the thing. The coincidences to me are just uncanny, okay? Uncanny. So abundance, well, let me take this back. Kentucky has an abundance of minerals, ore, and we are a powder keg of information. This whole area is an ancient, megalithic, phenomenal anomaly in this underground tunnel systems. Let's just face the facts. There's something with this whole state. Cobalt. You have the, so let's put an X on that. Let's put an X on this next one because we're just going to go back to the Cygnus, right? The Cygnus star. Guess what they call it? This is where it gets crazy. I said that maybe 4 or 5, 10, 15 times because it's all crazy. Cygnus. The constellation we've been talking about pretty much for the last 15 minutes. X. That's what they call it. X1. Slap an X on it. Let's put an X on this one. This is where it gets really bizarre. It is a galactic X-ray source of constellation Cygnus, was the first such source widely accepted as to be a black hole. It was discovered in 1971 according to, let's just say academia, on a rocket flight. Hello. And is one of the strongest X-ray sources detachable from Earth, producing an X-ray, all this craziness, all this anomalies, right? But has been shown to be it's a small star system constellation, to be a known kind of a normal star of other likely objects besides of a black hole. So once again, we have the X imagery, we have the constellation the whole constellation that, let's just say dimensional. We have, and I hate to use this term, I don't get into it, but we have above and we have a below concept here, and there's stuff on the Earth being manipulated by something from in the atmosphere of sorts, let's just say, of the heavens. So, black hole, and they literally call it, you heard me earlier, the X, right? And what is that, and how in the world can you get past all that nonsense? So we have a Cygnus X1. So slap an X on this one, folks, and I got to get a drink of coffee real quick. And glad to see everybody in the program. And yeah, somebody in the program said, Bluegrass, this is the Bluegrass State. Welcome to the Twilight Zone. So it gets even more digging in the rabbit hole. We're going to go down the rabbit hole together. So, let's see here. Salem. We have Salem, Kentucky. Salem. It's called Livingston. It's also in, let's just say, it's in Christian County. It's connected all to, well, it's around Christian County. Forgive me. But it's Salem. Okay, we have the significance of Salem. And here's the kicker part. So I remember the 88 imagery. Remember the 88 imagery with the slide with the 88 degrees here. We were referring to Genesis and Psalms and all the Salem connections here with these total eclipse, 88. So, check this out. Let me see here. If I can pull it back up. I lost my place. Let me see. Salem. Here we go. So, I wanted to look for 88 again because I want to make sure that I researched and went everything over with a fine comb. Well, guess what, folks? Salem is located at 37, degrees, 53 north. And here you go. There's your 88. There's your 88, folks, with my mouse pad here. 88, 14, 28. So you can't make it up. So here we are in 88. So what's the significance? And this X marks the spot and the circumference of it. And we have Salem here. Wow. I mean, it's crazy. You can see on the side there, it says Livingston, Kentucky at the 88 west. So it's west. Obviously, it's west of me, but we're talking about the western part of Kentucky. Wow. Right. What's the odds? What's the odds of this even being? I mean, where are we at? Where are we at? So, let's go back to Google Earth. So we've talked about the city, right? The city here, and it's just back in 2017 they had such view of this anomaly or whatever's going on with the sun and the moon. So we have this cerulean connection. So it's kind of funny. You back up a little bit. You just back up just a little bit. So you're not too far from there's Hopkinsville. But it's kind of funny if you look over a little bit over here. It says Fearsville. So hello, Fearsville. So Hops gets a little fun and plug in, but I don't have anything to talk about it, but it's just funny. It says Fearsville. I've never heard of that, and I've been all over Kentucky. So we have this blue connection, the bluest star, all this stuff. Hopkins, this total eclipse, it went right through Hopkinsville. Okay. And it drove all the way up to Salem. So you have Salem. So here's Salem right here, Salem. And you have New Salem, right? And it's literally in proximity. I mean, we're right here. Okay. We're right here. And oh my goodness, so here we go. I'm going to go down some Hollywood narratives, but I've got the dots to connect. So we have the X factor, right? We have this X connection. So let's get into what can I find about the connection with X, okay? What could be so significant? Oh, real quick. I lost my train of thought. There's something I got to throw out here. You remember the 303 program that I mentioned earlier? And we had the 303 in Cerulean, the town with the 303, no joke, 303 population. Stargate Series X. The Stargate Series, their first so-called, let's just say Venama, let's just say, Starship, whatever you want to call it. But Stargate Series, I can consider it as a documentary. I'm just going to throw it out there because there's so much information. And the stuff that you would have thought back in the day that was like all conspiracy and nonsense and just for TV consumption, and you're just like, hey, it's for entertainment. They're talking about this, folks, in the UFO phenomenon. But I don't believe everything they say, but it's kind of interesting. The ship's name is X-303. X-303. So there's another crazy connection about, let's just say, the X, the command prompt 303, and I've got the 303, and we have the 303 with the Starship, with the Stargate Series 303. Let's put an X on it because it's literally called the X303. What's the significance of that? How can that be a coincidence, folks? So I want to get into that real quick before I move on from Salem in Kentucky. I want to make sure that I document this for the program. So I had to take a breather there. I had to take a breath. All right. So we have Salem. Let me back out a little bit. I've always looked into this. I don't know, but this whole area here, where this whole great eclipse, this back in 2017, when you could have seen the whole perspective of the best of the visual of the eclipse. I've speculated right here, Paducah area, around the Bowling Green area, that there's a pyramid. No joke, folks. I'm looking for 3 pyramids in Kentucky that are buried. People be like, man, Brian, you're totally off the wall here. Well, prove me wrong, archaeologists. Prove me wrong. Come out here and debate me. There's 3. There's 3. And the only reason why I do that and even go down there and even have an inkling of understanding is there was referencing of that in Lexington, Kentucky, and the great metropolis where there was mummies, there was redheaded and giant, and they supposedly had a pyramid or coordinates to pyramids in Kentucky. And I thought it was real bizarre. So one other thing, speaking of, I want to get off topic, but at the beginning of the program, I talked about weather phenomenon. This whole area, for the last 5 years, let's just say since 2017, there's been abundance in this area of tornadic activity, horrific storms. I mean, flooding. Just awful. Okay, for years. And I think it literally a majority of it's all happened after 2017. So riddle that one. So these poor people are still trying to recuperate from like disaster after disaster after disaster. So there's something to note. Yeah, you just can't make it up. So we have the Stargate Series X303. We have the 303 programming. But before I move on with the Hollywood programming, which I mentioned earlier, I had to go there. What we have here on Google Earth, let me back up here. We have X, obviously, right? We have 2 total eclipses. So I said, you know what? If there's any connection to this, I'm just going to fall out my seat. Well, I about did. Just letting y'all know. About fell out of my seat. These two things, this one that hasn't even happened yet in April the 8th of 2024. Guess how many days? Guess how many days are between 8/21/2017 and then April the 8th, 2024? Here we go. Just guess how many there is. There it is, up on the screen. Grab it, take that to a minute, and let's just ponder on it. There's 2,422 days between August the 21st, 2017 to April the 8th, 2024. Let's put an X on it. Let's put an X on it. There's my country swang there, country twang. Okay, so you take 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2 equals 10. Begin the program. I talk about Roman numeral, the X. Bam. Let's put an X on it, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen. 10. No joke. Throwing the mic. I'm not going to throw this mic, but if I had an artificial one, I'd just throw it. So 2 events August the 21st, 2017, and then we haven't had the event in April the 8th, 2024, and I was baffled that there's this time, the duration of the time is 2,422 days. Yeah. Roman numeral X, here we go. I mean, it's not even happened yet, and I'm still baffled. So whatever's going to happen, folks, whatever kind of anomaly, and the ancients, the Indians knew it. The Indians had this information because they knew stuff about astronomy, and they had insight of something to do with fallen angel technology or something. They all had something of understanding, some concept. And then the blue star Kachina. Blue star Kachina, I just want to touch base on this for a little bit. Not only have we talked about the Cygnus star, the Cygnus X star, the blue star, the city, the cerulean star. So here we go with the blue Kachina. The blue Kachina is the Hopi prophecy. They talk about a Kachina. It's a spirit. My opinion, I think it's a ship. That's my opinion. And they talk about this Kachina, these cycles of the earth, and they talk about this ninth and final sign before the day of purification, described as apocalypse, world-engulfing cataclysm that will lead to the destruction, well, let's just say, of our world as we know it. So that's according to the Hopi prophecy. I wanted to document the blue star Kachina. Why is there a correlation? How does it all just fit so easy together? That's something I want to find out myself. If anybody wants to comment after this program, this live feed is done, let me know in the description box, and let me know where you're from in the chat. Thank you all for attending with me, but there's more. So blue star Kachina, the Hopi prophecy, they're looking for this great star, which I referenced just earlier, is the tie with the Cygnus star, and this X marks the spot. Could this be the blue star Kachina? I don't know. I'll have to find out. We'll have to find out. We don't know. I can only speculate and tell you stuff that wouldn't, I could just make up stuff. I don't want to make up anything. I don't know. Only speculation past this point, but we'll find out, and we'll wait and see. So anyways, Roman numeral X. So I had to go here, folks. This is where the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, first class X. Let's put an X on it. When we're talking about the movies that came out in 2011 or something like that. They made time travel, all these different films with it, referencing the Marvel movie characters and then when they was younger, teenager years and all that. So, as you can see here, X marks the spot, and there's this circle on the back end and behind the X, and it reminded me of the slide earlier with the Salem and everything. I was like, that's so strange. Because people were like, Brian, that's just shapes and just circles and just geometric shape. What are you talking about? You're talking crazy. It's just a circle and an X. Well, what if I told you there was some places that was filmed to do with the X-Men series, right? And the X-Mansion, where Xavier, the Institute, the youngsters, the highly educated, these highly learning, right? These mutants, okay? These mutants, according to the narrative of the comic book series. But if you scroll on down, it's talking about the Xavier Institute for Higher Learning, which we're going to go there. How about that, folks? The X-Mansion's address is 1407 Gray McLennan Lane, and you see it right here, folks. Salem. Put an X on it. Put an X on it, folks. I might just have to drop 14 mics after this, but Salem. So there's a Salem connection. North Salem. But this location exists. So how in the world does this all, why couldn't it be called something different? And why does there's this X imagery, which is all inundated throughout time, it seems, and I think it ties back to, there's an individual that we would say, starts with the N, Nimrod, hello. I think there's something correlation with that, and something to tie all that in and put that on the shelf for a rainy day. But there's North Salem. And let's just go to it. Let's go to it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to Salem. Salem Center. And here it is. I could not believe, and it won't let me zoom in. There's nothing there for Street View, perspective or nothing. I'm sorry, folks, but Xavier Institution for Higher Learning. You can see it on the Google Earth there. I'll zoom in for you guys to be able to see a little bit better. Xavier Institute for Higher Learning, and it's at North Salem at the Salem Center. So folks, should we put an X on it? Should we put an X on it? First class X. I think a first class X would be fitting for this particular scenario here. First class, how does this happen with Xavier and all these connections? And I mean, it'll make your head spin, literally. So we have the Salem connection once again. So what about you have Professor X? Professor X has these telekinesis abilities to read minds, right? But this is where it gets pretty dark in the program. So just for a disclaimer, because I'm very conscientious about this, just don't let the kids watch this part. So even though they probably watched enough comic book and read enough comic books and movies, etc., but check this out. So you have the connection with Xavier. So X, first class, all that good stuff, right? So he has this machine, Cerebro. So he has a Cerebro machine. And I remember on the program it talks about, it has, all the films it talks about, there's always this political stance on it, okay? There's Magneto, they're going against all the humans and the mutants and all this, right? Did you know that there's something weird going on in our world? And I'm going to read it. I took a screenshot of it, made a slide out of it, but it's so controversial and so sensitive material, I can't show it. The article, I have to follow the YouTube policies, but I will show you what it says. A catastrophic mutating event will strike the world, supposedly, into... And I will mind you, hey, welcome to, thank you, bless you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for the donation. God bless you. Have faith. Bless you so much. Thank you really seriously appreciate it. So strike the world in 2 years' time. So this article here goes on, I'll end quote, it talks about, this was written in January of 2023, mind you. So we're up in the year and a half now range. So this is where it gets really bizarre. I'm just going to talk about it and skip through some things because I cannot speak on these topics because there's some things that will get me in hot water. But let me find the article real quick. I know it's here. I've lost my bearings here on it, but just 1 second, folks. If I can pull it up here. I know it's here. Well, I have lost the article. That is okay. One moment. Stay with me. Stay with me, folks. Let's see. Okay, I know. I got it right here. It talks about a 3-letter agency that we will eat the bugs and you will like it. If you're just now tuning in, me and my uncle was talking about this the other day. There's going to be abundance of the bugs that coming out of the ground. The broad X. We'll slap an X on it. But no joke. Check this article out. The black. There's imagery of ink. That's the only term I can use. But let's just throw black and then another word with J or G. And then just, there's 2 other letters there. Something going on up in here. Something going on up in all this. This mutating event is talking about referencing something to do with cyber, the ATT word, right? And it's talking about a catastrophic event that will be the biggest change in enabling AI mechanisms to a certain, I'm trying to watch what I say, that transforms and various systems, so to speak. Let's just say that. Certain things that will be deployed that will alter certain things upon the earth. So, could it be that our Hollywood friends, I wouldn't call them friends, was putting subliminal messaging in our minds to get us to do certain things and think about certain things and then go down these and then literally push us into these systems, let's say that. And when this event shows up, is there going to be something tied to these anomalies? What's going to happen what's going to happen here, right? What's going to happen when it comes down from Vermont? Excuse me there, I'm giving y'all a visual disturbance. When it comes down through Vermont, through New Brunswick, all the way through Maine, coming down Indianapolis, all throughout Ohio, hitting the back tail end of Kentucky, all the way down to Texas, folks. So, did you know there's a company that we all know? There's a social media platform that we all know. We all know. But did y'all remember about the annular eclipse? Right? Not the one that happened in 2017, but do you know about the one that happened just not too long ago in October the 14th, mind you, which I had an anomaly over my house. It looked like a red, I don't know, some kind of red weirdness over my home. So, Dallas. There's a lot of things that's come out of Dallas. You know the old country song, All My Exes Live in Texas? I can't relate to that. But what I'm getting ready to say here, all the corporations, all the machinery work, let's just say, I'm not going to put him down, Mr. Elon is migrating to this state right here. The 2024, April the 8th, and then you have the October the 14th, 2023. Look at this. And all the stuff that's going on in Texas right now, all the weirdness. I don't want to get into it, but everybody knows what I'm referring to. Let's just say there's something going on down south. So, what's the coincidences of all these places being moved to this location of Texas where X marks the spot? Let's put an X on it, folks. How does this all work? How does this happen? And it's all to do with a total eclipse. Is there something going on that ties all this together? Because, once again, as you can see here, the blue star, the Cygnus, all this stuff, the Cygnus star, it's still going to scrape down and come through Salem again. And it's going to drive to Salem. There's a Salem, Texas. There's a Salem, Vermont. Like earlier when I was showing these slides. What do we got here? And what's going to happen? I can only speculate and talk about it all day long. And, running at 88 miles an hour. I will tell you this, that little fun fact here. Little fun fact. We have this in Dallas, the 7-Eleven gas station that we used to have here in my local area. If you take 7 plus 1, hey, you got 8. If you take, there's 88. So what's the how can you correlate and compare all the similarities with all this evidence that I've been placing in front of you all tonight? And where is this all going to end? Like, I have no conclusion to this. All I know is the stuff that I've showed today. It all has ties, and I'm just probably putting the corner piece or just half of the board together with the puzzles. I don't see anything else how I can put it all together because it's such a big puzzle piece. And what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Because this one, I'm going to put the other eclipse up and see. If you look, this is the 2017, this is the 2024 in April, and this is the one that happened in October. And you see this triangle pattern, right, at the beginning of the program. And I will always look at the cosmos, the constellations. Is there a swan event coming? I want to point that out because it says it's a swan. And what is the ties into the blue Star, is there a Stargate? I don't know. Is there a black hole coming? That's what they say that's what they say that constellation is. Is there something going to happen? Is there an anomaly on the Earth? Is the ground, is this all going to alter? Is there something going to happen? I don't know. I do not know. So wait, I have a few more things. All right. Okay. So tile this in. We have the cobalt. We have the cobalt connection. We have the X connection. And then we have the, like I said at the beginning of the program, all the inundated with X symbols and whatnot. And just look around, folks. So you'll see it all over the place. Bottles, when you're out in the stores, you'll see this. You'll overlook it. And to me, I think it's significant. And who knows what's going to happen in 2024 in April the 8th. But to me, the 8th day and the 21st day, like I said earlier, there's a connection there in some shape or form. And then you have the 2,422 days in between both. There's significance to all of it, and it's something to document. So, but yeah, folks, that is. Oh, one more thing to tie in here. Do not shut the computer off. I want to throw this out here real quick. I missed one thing. Sorry about that. So, not only do we have this constellation stuff, right? And I remember I did a program not too long ago on Back to the Future. Back to the Future Dakota did with David Carrico. And we have the dog days of summer, reflection according to this article here. So it talks about the dogs, the greater star, the larger, the dog star, the canine major, the canine, I think it's canine major, canine minor, small dog, little dog, or large dog, little dog. So if you go and it talks about, I'm skipping through a lot here. It talks about all the different things with the constellations. I want to read this. Constellations. It talks about the west, the north, and here's the east. Look for a bright star, the white star, which is Vega. Down and to the left is Deneb, and continued to the right is the altered. When you connect these three bright stars, you made the summer pyramid, like I referenced at the beginning of the program. Now head back to Deneb and imagine this to be the tail of Cygnus, the swan. To the right of the three stars in line, this should be outstretched wings, right? Extending from the wings would be a long neck head of the swan. The top of the head is a double star, or Albiro, excuse me. What do you guys think? And what's even more bizarre is the cross imagery. That's the one thing that gets me, is the cross imagery. And like I said earlier, I tread lightly on putting up anything to do with just imagery of Jesus. But when it comes to the slide earlier and the connections with Salem, I think it's well worth to document and think about. So anybody out there in these locations, give me a shout out. Hit me up on Visual Disturbance. Links below as far as the email. Give me some information if you don't mind, and if you live in these areas, and if you see any kind of anomalies or anything that's real bizarre and out there. And yeah. And then one other thing too, I just seen the chat. Dallas, Texas, right, with the eclipse that's coming in 2024. It's kind of interesting. We just celebrated JFK's, his anniversary. I think that's kind of ironic. Put an X on this whole program. What do you guys think? Put an X on this whole program. Let's put an X on it. Let's nip it in the bud, so to speak, and just keep our heads on a swivel. And we'll be looking forward to, we'll just have to face it April the 8th, and we'll see what comes. But yeah, folks, thank you all for attending with me on Visual Disturbance. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for the donations. If you haven't looked up at the coffee webpage, it helps to donate to the channel. And we really appreciate it. And thank you all so much. And thank you for the new subs, new subscribers coming in. We really appreciate it. And yeah, so what a blessing. And thank you all for all being here. There's so many people coming in the chat tonight. So what a blessing. But that concludes Let's Put an X on It. And I hope everybody has a fabulous day. And Visual Disturbance, Brian Reese, I'm out. And hope to see you on the next run. But watch out for those X's, folks, because they're coming out every which way, it seems. There's so much subliminal messaging in front of us. You just don't know. You just don't know what we're seeing. I think we are so easily manipulated. So put an X on it. Bless you all, and thank you all for attending with me. What a blessing. And I'll see you on the next run. Brian Reese, Visual Disturbance. I am out.